All right, guys, today we're going to talk about rules of decimals. We're just going to go back over them. You guys have learned these multiple times. Okay, so we're just going to go back over the rules for addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division. Okay, so first off, when we are adding decimals, okay, like these problems here, we are going to find the decimals. So we have decimals here, and here, and here, and here, and I just kind of make those big and bold. Okay, and then we are going to line up the decimals. Okay, so we're going to line up the decimals when we are adding. If we have any empty spots, we're going to fill those with zeros. Okay, and then we're going to add, and we are going to bring down our decimal in our answer. Okay, so we're going to bring down our decimal point in our answer. So it's going to come straight down when we are adding. Okay, so we're going to do that here with these examples. So we have 18.2 and 7.74. Okay, and so I'm actually going to line up my decimals. And when I do that, you can see that I have a gap, right? We talked about the gap if there's an empty spot. So what's going to go above the 4? A 0. Good. All right, so we're going to add that 0 in. I can put a 0 over here under the 1. And now I'm just ready to add like normal. So what's 0 plus 4? 4. Good. What's 2 plus 7? 9. Good. We're going to bring our decimal straight down. Big, bold decimal. What's 8 plus 7? 15. Okay, carry the 1. And then what's 1 plus 1? 2. So our answer is 25.94. Any questions about that one? Okay, solve the next one on your own. I don't really worry about which one I'm going to put on top, and that's really because I'm lining my decimals up and I'm making them match. So I'm going to make the empty spaces be zeros. So as long as my decimals line up, it doesn't really matter which one goes on top. Okay? So 0 plus 4 is 4. 5 plus 7 is 12. Big bold decimal, carry the 1. 1 plus 6 is 7. 7 plus 5 is 12. Carry the 1. And 1 plus 1 is 2. Any questions on our adding of decimals? Cool. Again, big rule is just line them up, fill the gaps with zeros. Bring the decimals straight down. Okay. All right, the rule for subtraction is basically exactly the same. We're going to find our decimals. So I'm going to make my decimal big and bold in all of my problems down here. And then I'm going to line up the decimal. Okay, when I line up the decimal, that's for adding and subtracting. And then it says fill the empty spots with what? With zeros. And then it says subtract, so we're subtracting. So last time we were adding, now we're going to subtract. And then it says bring down the decimal in your answer. Big bold decimal straight down in your answer. All right, so order does matter in subtraction, so we are going to put our first number first. So we have 10.7, has to go first, has to go on top because it's subtracting. And then we have 6.23. I'm subtracting, and I'm going to fill in all my spaces, all my gaps with zeros. All my spaces or gaps with zeros. All right, and then can I take 3 from nothing? If I have nothing, can I take away 3? No, so I need to borrow. My 7 becomes a 6. My 0 becomes a 10. What is 10 minus 3? 7. Good job. What's 6 minus 2? 4. Good. Big bold decimal. Bring it down. Can I take 6 from nothing? No. More on the floor. Go next door. I borrow from the 10. And my 0 becomes a 10. 10 minus 6 is 4. 0 minus 0 is 0. So 4.47. Okay. My next one, 18.7 minus 9.23. You guys go ahead and start that. Again, line your decimals up. Fill in the gaps with zeros. And we are subtracting. Can't take 3 from nothing, have to borrow. 10 minus 3 is 7. 6 minus 2 is 4. Bring down my big bold decimal. Can I take 9 from 8? I cannot, so I have to borrow. 18 minus 9 is 9. 0 minus 0 is 0. So big rule for adding and subtracting is just line them up. Line them up, fill in the gaps with zeros. Okay. Any questions on adding and subtracting? All right, let's move down to multiplying and dividing. All right, so multiplication, the number with the most digits goes on top. So now when we're multiplying, we need to put the longer number on top. So you can see this number has way more digits than this number, so it goes on top. Same thing here, longer digits, so it goes on top. Decimals do not have to line up. Okay, so it's not like adding and subtracting. When you're multiplying, they do not line up. You can see I have a decimal here, and those clearly do not line up, okay? So that doesn't really matter. It says multiply like normal, so we're going to pretend this is like 2,561 and 45. We don't even care about the decimals. We're going to count how many decimal places in the first number, okay? And then we're going to count how many decimal places in the second number, and that is how many spaces you move the decimal in your answer. So I noticed this year a lot of my students are forgetting their decimal, so I started making them count them first. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and they have to put a 5 out to the side to remind them that they're going to have 5 decimal places when they're done. Okay? And then we're going to multiply like normal. So I'm going to cover up the 4, and I'm just going to multiply the 5. So 5 times 1 is 5. 5 times 6 is 30. Carry the 3. 5 times 5 is 25. Plus 3 is 28. 5 times 2 is 10. Plus 2 is 12. I get rid of my carries and my 5. I drop a 0 because I am now multiplying the 4. And that 4 represents 40. Right? So that's what the 0 is for, because it's in the tens place, 40. And then I multiply out the 4. 4 times 1 is 4. 4 times 6 is 24. 4 times 5 is 20, plus 2 is 22. And 4 times 2 is 8, plus 2 is 10. So I add all those numbers together, and I end up with 115245. And remember, I look over here and I say, oh yeah, I have 5 decimal places. So I'm going to start at the back and hop 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Big bold decimal. So my answer is 1.15245. Okay. All right, same process for the next one. Okay, first thing I'm going to do is count my decimal places. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So over here to the side, I'm going to make myself a 5 to remind myself I have 5 decimal places. I'm going to start by multiplying out my 5. 5 times 1 is 5. 5 times 2 is 10. 5 times 0 is 0, plus 1 is 1. 5 times 7 is 35. I'm done with my 5, done with my carry, drop a 0. Okay, 1 times 1 is 1, 1 times 2 is 2, 1 times 0 is 0, and 1 times 7 is 7. I'm going to add those together. 5 plus 0 is 5, 0 plus 1 is 1, 1 plus 2 is 3, 5 plus 0 is 5, 3 plus 7 is 10. I look back over here and I say, oh, I have 5 decimal places I need, so I'm going to hop from the back. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So my answer will be 1.05315. So if you're somebody who regularly forgets your decimal place, start using that trick to kind of remind you. All right, our last one is division. So when we're dividing decimals, we cannot have a decimal outside of our division house. So our divisor cannot have a decimal, okay? So if you are looking and you see the outside number, our horse has a decimal, then we have to get rid of it, okay? So we're going to move the decimal back so that it looks like a whole number. So you can see here I'm going to move it back once, so now it's just a 2. And here I'll move it back once, and now it's just a 6. Okay? So you move the amount of places in the dividend. So you're going to move the same. So you have to make them match. So if I did 1 hop outside, I'm going to have 1 hop inside. And then I'm going to rewrite my problem. Okay, so once we rewrite our problem, we'll place the decimal straight up, and we will divide like normal. Okay, so I have 2 and 24.8, and over here I'll have 6 and 78.6, and I put my decimals straight up. Okay, and then we say, does 2 go into 2? Yes, 1 time. Does 2 go into 4? Yes, 2 times. Does 2 go into 8? Yes, 4 times. I zero out, so my answer is 12.4. Okay. Same thing on this one. Does 6 go into 7? Yes, 1 time. Does 6 go into 18? Yes, 3 times. Does 6 go into 6? Yes, 1 time. And so my answer is 13.1. And that is reviewing add, subtract, multiply, and dividing decimals.